Okay, good evening everybody. Welcome to DuePoint. Did everyone have a nice Women's Day yesterday? How many of us worked yesterday? Only one? Two? Okay. Welcome to everyone who's tuned in on the live stream as well around the country. My name's Rob van der Bijl. I'm one of the executives here at DuePoint, and we're going to be spending the next 45 to 50, maybe 60 minutes if you're good, going through what DuePoint's all about and what the opportunity is all about. So you are here at our head office here in Johannesburg, obviously in Bryanston. We're actually a division of another company called Constantia Insurance Company Limited. That's their building in the background. They don't share premises with us. They're actually down the road in Randburg. That's their little orange logo. They were founded in 1952, so they've been around for a very long time. They're a registered insurance company in South Africa, so there's only about a dozen of those. Constantia is one of them. That's the FSP number that we operate under. You'll notice in the foyer above the water cooler, we've got all the certificates up on the wall. Those are FSP licenses. So we've got an FSP license, we've got a long and short-term insurance license, we've got an investment license, and we've also put up our accreditation with the direct marketing and the direct selling associations. So the business has been around for a very long time. DuePoint itself as a division was launched last year in February, but a lot of expertise in the business. This is the executive and the management team here at DuePoint. The three individuals on the far left are all registered chartered accountants. Brendan is our senior executive. He's got a lot of experience in financial services, particularly insurance, because his father happens to have been in insurance for 50 years. His father, Dr. Benfield, actually founded Clientele Life, amongst a host of other financial businesses around the world that they've ran very successfully. Brendan and his brother Stuart actually founded PMD along with their father and a couple of other companies. And PMD, I think, is now the fourth biggest short-term insurer in the country. So they've had a lot of success in the financial sector. Very lucky to have him leading the division. Tim Reynolds got a lot of experience in corporate banking. He was with the First Rand Group for about 15 years. Fairly senior job that he had there. He reported directly to the board of executives there. He heads up our accounting, the auditing, and the regulatory aspects in our business. Stacey's got a lot of experience in auditing. She supports Tim in his role here at DuePoint, and she worked with Deloitte for all of her career before she joined DuePoint. She worked locally as well as overseas. And then the two non-accountants over here, Jane and myself. Jane is from the UK, although she's been in South Africa for about 10 years. She brings a lot of international experience with regards to direct selling to our business, because even though we're an insurance company, our growth is predicated around our ability to be effective in terms of network marketing or direct selling or whatever you want to call it. But she brings a lot of that experience to the table. And then myself, I've been working in marketing and advertising most of my career. I started a digital agency in the late 90s. I ran that for almost 20 years, this business that paid the bills. We didn't retrench anybody, so I think I can call the business fairly successful. But I exited that business and joined the team here at DuePoint. So this is the executive and the management team. Our mandate here at DuePoint is to support all the people that join us in this partnership. So we want to see those people effective and successful, because as a business we can only be profitable and successful if our people that are working with us are being effective and successful. And so everything that we do here is to support you in that role. All right, so we don't hide in our offices. We very much get involved with the wealth engineers in this business because we want to see you do well. Okay, so that's a little bit of background about who's involved in this business. The company, we're actually listed on the Joburg Stock Exchange under a company called Conduit Capital. So you're welcome to go do background checks on us. I hope that all of this information is lent to our credibility, because we take that very seriously at DuePoint. We want you to trust the business that we're going to be speaking about this evening. Okay, so why do we find ourselves here this evening? Thursday night, it's nearly the weekend. A lot of people start relaxing after Wednesday, right? Over hump day. There's a pub across the road here, and it's always busy on a Thursday night because people like to puzz on a Thursday night. I don't know why, because we still got to work tomorrow, right? But we find ourselves in a business presentation. So this part of the presentation, we kind of discussed the driving behavior around why people would be interested in an entrepreneurial opportunity, because you do realize it's going to take extra work, it's going to take sacrifice, and yet you're willing to come look at this business presentation anyway. So the driving factors that we look at are all, I guess, negative. The one's the economy. The economy plays out directly in our lives, and you'll all experience it personally what the economy is doing to us individually. So we see it in the form of inflation sitting at about 7%. Interest rates are actually quite high. Food inflation sitting at 11%. What else is there? There's the inability of businesses to give us a pay raise once a year in line with inflation. So I often ask the audience who got 7% increase year on year for the last 7 years. And generally no one puts their hand up, right? This is an issue because the cost of living starts to run away from your salary. Because if your salary is not keeping in line with inflation, this gap starts to be created. And South Africans will typically try band-aid that gap with the 4-letter word that you see up on the screen, right? Debt. So we'll start engaging in a lot of debt in the hope that we can close this gap between what the cost of living is becoming and what our salaries are, but this puts us into more crisis because even though we might survive maybe the first few months with debt and the first few years, what happens is when interest rates starts going up and the food inflation is going up and the cost of living keeps growing, you can't just keep using debt to keep closing that gap, right? And so we find ourselves currently where 50% of people in South Africa who have debt are under debt review. So it means they're now in a position where they've missed debt payments for longer than 3 months. So they pretty much have run out of money at the end of every month. And that's 50% of our population that have debt. So it's a massive amount of people. Unfortunately, we've got this date that is bearing down on us called retirement. And I often compare retirement to retrenchment because they're pretty much the same thing. So here's a slide on what retirement planning looks like. And I compare it to retrenchment because the net effect is the same. You don't get a salary at the end of retrenchment or retirement. So we kind of look at retirement as being our golden years, but in actual fact it's a bit of a panicky situation for a lot of South Africans because we know from the statistics we get that 98% of South Africans will retire financially dependent. Only 2% of South Africans get to retirement financially independent. I heard another statistic. I don't know if you heard on the radio, there's this new company that's now advertising some financial products on the radio, and they claim some statistics. They say that 90% of the population will get to retirement with half their income. So your income will halve, 90% of us, your income will halve when you get to retirement. Right? So that's another scary statistic. So this was actually, this data that you see on the screen was actually published in an article on the Fin24 website late last year, and it has 3 columns. Each column is headed with an amount, right? So this is an amount that you would derive, an income that you would derive out of an investment that you made. So if you engage in responsible retirement planning for the majority of your life, and you're in the position where you've saved a certain amount of money in some form of investment or pension fund or scheme or whatever it is, that investment that you made will pay you out an income once you retire, right? Because when you retire, employment ends and your salary ends, your income ends, and now you have to depend on this investment that you made. So if you're in the position where you've saved R1 million by the time you retire, that R1 million will pay you out 5,000 Rand a month from the age of 60 to 90. So the R1 million will last you 30 years. Okay, so this is the scary part, because can anyone survive on 5,000 Rand a month income, right? No one. I mean, I heard a statistic or a number the other day saying that just to feed a family of 4, minimum cost in terms of food, groceries, and nutrition is 7,000 Rand a month for a family of 4. And here, if you're in the position where you've saved R1 million, you're only going to be getting 5,000 Rand a month. So it leads on to my next question. How many people in our audience are currently saving R1 million or are in the process of saving R1 million? Right? Nobody. Can you see the issue that you're going to face once you get to retirement? That's why you can see 98% of the population get to retirement and they're financially dependent, which means they become dependent on other people, other family members, on their children. They have to downgrade their lifestyles to such an extent that they can actually get by, they can survive month to month. And so the outlook is pretty bleak when you look at all these driving characteristics of why people are sitting in a presentation like this in hope of hearing about something that will now change their circumstance. Right, so this is the negative part of the presentation. We won't talk about the negative part of the presentation anymore. We'll get on to the good stuff. But I'm not trying to depress you. What I'm hoping to do is set a realistic tone as to the environment that we all find ourselves in, right? And even from retirement, I didn't even realize how drastic retirement planning looked for most of us. Tim sent me this article, and then he put me in a bad mood for about a week. So this is not great. And we certainly don't propose this as a solution, but we're hopefully going to be discussing something tonight that will give you an opportunity where you'll be in a position that you can change your circumstance. And so as a business, as an enterprise, the DuePoint division was launched with a hope that we could create a platform or a system that the average South African could engage in to change their circumstance. So the DuePoint system was born. Like I said, it was launched last year in February, and we've got 3 aspirations in this business. So the main aim for you, or the aspirations for you that we would like to see you aspire to, is number 1, become debt-free. So if you can become completely debt-free, that would be a great day, wouldn't it? Think about that. You've got to think about that hard, because it's actually awesome when you think about the status of being debt-free, because we all experience this debt cycle that we're in month to month, where you get your salary, right? So I joke, I say, we all get that one SMS that says your salary's been paid in. And you go, yo, that's a nice number. And then you get 10 SMSs for debit orders that go off straight afterwards. How the bank knows that the money got put in straight away, that all the other companies debit you so quickly, but then you get those 10, 20 SMSs that go off and they chop into that salary, right? And we live in this stressful debt cycle where we go from month to month just trying to survive. And then things get exacerbated at the end of the year because you want to pay for holidays and traveling and visiting family, and the kids want Christmas presents, and you've got to pay for stationery and new school clothes for the kids, and then you get paid early, you don't get a bonus, and January you suffer, right? And we find ourselves in this monthly cycle and then this annual cycle of debt. So our number 1 goal here at DuePoint is really to see the people that join this business to really push to becoming debt-free. We want to see you get your salary and get paid from DuePoint, and no debit orders go off. No debit orders. Wouldn't that be great? You own the car that you drive, you own the house that you live in, you pay for your kids' education 1 year up front. You one of those parents that arrive at school in January and you pay for the whole year up front, right? Wouldn't that be great? No debit orders. That's really what we aspire. That's the aspiration that we have for our wealth engineers, because what happens is once you become debt-free, it places you in a position where you now have lots of money left over every month, right? You're not worried about the cost of living and the cost of debt, because you've removed debt. You still have the cost of living, but you've created this additional income stream, and it places you in a position where you actually can start building assets and investing your money. And on average, currently, in most of our circumstances, South Africans only start looking at investments at around the age of 50, which is far too late, right? Because that previous slide on retirement said that you need to save for 40 years to get to a position where you've saved money. So if you want to save R1 million, if you're under the age of 25 here, and you want to engage in responsible retirement planning, you can save for 40 years. You only have to save 800 Rand a month for 40 years, non-stop. If you want to be to be in a position where you get paid out 5,000 Rand a month, which you can't survive on anyway. So the next column was earn 26,000 Rand a month, but in that case you had to save 4,000 Rand a month for 40 years to be in a position that you've saved 5 million Rand in investment, which pays you out 26,000 Rand a month, right? So we want you to be in a position where you can do that, right? And it starts with becoming debt-free. And then the third aspiration is a warm and fuzzy aspiration. It's just to see the wealth engineers in this business happier, because that's why you're here this evening. It's not really about the money. It's just about wanting to change that stress into happiness. And if you're debt-free and you're only putting money into investments and building assets, I promise you, you'll be happier at the end of the month and in January. Okay. So those are the goals that we have for our wealth engineers. How does this business work? Our guests here this evening, you have the opportunity of joining DuePoint. What happens is you actually contract with us, and in the contract we call you wealth engineers. And as wealth engineers, we only want you to do one thing, and that's to go out and build what we call channels of distribution. And through these channels of distribution, which is really you just introducing people to DuePoint, we will attempt through our online platform to place product with the people that you introduce to us. And that's basically how this entire system works. The benefit is that you get to create an additional income stream for yourself. This is obvious, right? This is the only way you can pay your debt off any faster. You need to bridge that gap between the cost of living and your salary. Additional income does that, not debt. We don't want you to use any more debt to bridge that gap. We want you to create this additional income. The nature of the income that you produce here is recurring in nature, which is awesome, because this is kind of a benefit of creating an asset. So if you own two houses, you lived in one house and you rented the other house out, that would be recurring income. But you needed the asset in the first place, right, which costs a lot of money. So the unique thing about this system is that you can start from scratch. You don't need to put money into it. You don't have to buy an asset. You can build this asset through your efforts and create this recurring income for yourself. And I always say to the wealth engineers in this business, you need to build a sustainable enough channel so that one day in 5 years, perhaps, you'll have a big enough and sustainable enough channel that you can actually go on holiday for 3 months. And DuePoint will pay you every single month while you're on holiday. Right? This is the benefit of creating an asset. This is what entrepreneurs chase. They chase the ability to build an asset that pays them while they're sleeping, so that they don't have to keep putting effort in to this business. It'll start paying for itself. And that's the position we want our wealth engineers in. The system allows you to harness the power of duplication. These channels of distribution that we want you to build are actually you going out and bringing people into your channel. And these people will collaborate with you. And if they're collaborating with you, then you're not limited by the time that you have in the day. So let's say, for example, you only have an hour to sacrifice in this business a day. If you're collaborating with 10 other people that you've brought into the business, now you've got 10 hours plus your hour, 11 hours being invested into your asset, which will in turn pay you a greater recurring income. This is a flexi-time business. So often I say, well, flexi-time is actually the wrong word. What it needs to say here is you need to sacrifice time to make this business work. But that's too long, so we just put flexi-time. Right? So this is something that you have to realize, because if you're interested in this business by the end of the presentation, not only are you going to decide, yes, I want to become a wealth engineer, but at the same time you have to decide, how does DuePoint fit into my life? Because realistically, you've got to fit it into your schedule if you want to make it work, right? So you can't treat it like a New Year's resolution, because we're not trying to lose weight. We're not trying to stop smoking. We're trying to save our lives, really, is what we're trying to do. And we have to take it a lot more seriously. And you need that accountability, that weight of how serious this issue is in our lives to drive you to accountability, so that you routinely spend time in DuePoint building this asset. There's no startup capital. We actually make this as risk-free as possible. So we don't have boxes of product that you have to buy. There's no registration fees. We don't sign you into a 12 or 24-month contract, right? So we make it very risk-free. There's no qualifications or experience required. We say that because this is financial services, and if you speak to anyone in financial services, you'll know they have to write exams all the time and do this and do that, and qualifications and experience and continuous professional development, all of that stuff. We actually contract you out of that obligation, so you can enjoy the benefits of this business without that pain in the bum of operating under the FSB. Build an asset. This is probably the most important point on the slide. And this is very much the antithesis of employment, because in employment, we will spend a lifetime, really a lifetime, working for someone else, building up someone else's asset. In this business, you're going to be building your own asset. You have ownership over this channel of distribution that you build. And so you can sell it later in life because it will have tangible value. You can give it to your kids to carry on running. They could take it and sell it. You could move it into a family trust. If something happened to you, your channel of distribution could be ceded to your beneficiary, so it gets treated as a real asset, right? So know that the time that you're investing and sacrificing into something is not going to someone else. It's an asset that you have ownership over, that you're building for yourself. There's no selling involved. How many of our guests this evening asked the person that invited them here, what are we selling at that business? Right, that's a natural question, but we all chuckle at it because I think it leads to a little bit of confusion when you say, oh no, you can come do this business, but you don't have to sell. And you're like, well, what are we going to do? Well, I'll touch on what we're going to do. We're going to be building channels of distribution. But the nature of our business, because we are financial, the nature of our products are intangible, so it means we don't have all the issues around stock and distribution. We don't have expiry dates on our products. They don't take up space in your garage. You don't have to buy boxes of it and feel under pressure to sell it. And so we make the business as convenient as possible, But this is all through you going out and building these channels of distribution. So really what happens is when you build a channel of distribution, all you're going to be doing, you're not going to be selling, you're going to be going out and telling people about the business opportunity here at DuePoint, right? The opportunity to create an additional income stream. That's all you're going to tell people. You're not going to speak about product, you're not going to try to sell product. We take care of that. Our online platform takes care of that part. So all you're going to go do is go out and tell friends, acquaintances, strangers, colleagues about this business opportunity. If you're successful in that and they come through to a presentation and we expose them to our products, they take out one of our products, that is the beginning of your channel of distribution, right? And these 5 people that you introduced are going to go out and do exactly the same thing because they want to build their channels, they want to build their assets, they want to increase their recurring income here at DuePoint. And so you have this organic growth that takes place, right? Because you only know these first 5 people. You don't know anyone beyond that. But all these people that join actually get attributed to your business. And the more people that join and the more products that are taken out, the greater your recurring income will become in this business. And that's why I say you want to have a business that looks like that so that you can go on holiday for 3 months and get paid for every single month while you're on holiday. Sitting on the beach with your family, not having to worry about income. Wouldn't that be great? Right? So this is what a channel of distribution looks like. You'll be forgiven if you arrived here this evening, I guess, thinking that you've been invited to a get-rich-quick scheme. Did anyone think that? Brendan jokes. He says, everyone's worried that they've been invited to a get-rich-quick scheme, but in the back of their minds, they're hoping it's a get-rich-quick scheme. All right? Okay, so we're not one of those. We are a 70-year-old insurance company that's listed on Joburg Stock Exchange. We're regulated by the FSB amongst a host of other regulators, with very reputable individuals working here, with really good intentions in helping community and making a profit, and including partners in this business. And we'll also never promise success quickly or easily in this business because that doesn't exist. If you've ever had the pleasure of trying to start your own business, you'll realize how difficult it is to make that business successful. You can go to the registrar's office and register a business and call yourself the CEO. That's easy. But to be profitable and successful is a whole nother story. And this business is not dissimilar to that. So in this business, you require a long-term vision. It's something that you have to work at consistently and persistently. Don't have short-term expectations out of this business, even though you'll see some people that do have great short-term results. But really, if you speak to anyone, this is a 5-year game at least. And you really need to put your head down and just grind at it because it is frustrating. It's a people business. You're going to be dealing with people constantly, and it's even difficult to get on with your own direct family. Now you have to get on with the whole of South Africa. But if you're willing to do that, then I can say to you, well, there's certainly going to be success for you at the end of the road. So decide what you want 5 years out of this business, or 10 years, or 20 years later out of this business. Okay, so let's talk about how we pay our wealth engineers. There are actually 2 ways to earn here as a wealth engineer. The one is through our returns program, and the second is through our rewards program. So we're going to discuss the returns program. The returns program is based on the amount of product that you have in your channel, and we pay you depending on how much product gets debited successfully in your channel. So we pay a base return fee of R27.50 for every product that you have in your channel, but that's dependent on where the product lies. So remember the first 5 people you introduced to DuePoint successfully, they lie on your first point. They're 1 point away from you, and on your first point we actually pay you double the R27.50. So we pay you R55 for every product. Then on your second point, these are friends of friends or colleagues of colleagues. These are people you don't know that your first pointers have brought into the business. These people lie on your second point, and again we pay you R55 for every product. And remember, it's recurring income. It's not a once-off. We pay you R55 for every product every month going forward. To the third point, you see the multiplier starts to drop as the product gets further away from you, all the way down to the 8th point. At the 8th point, the multiplier is 4%. But we don't limit you at the 8th point. So if you build your channel from the 8th point beyond, we will keep paying you the 4%. From the 8th point into infinity, in theory. You need to note that we don't limit you on how big your channel can get at DuePoint, and we don't limit you on how much money you can earn here at DuePoint. The accountability always lies with you. You're going to decide how DuePoint fits into your life, how much time you're going to be investing into building this asset for yourself. So this is the mechanics of the returns. The next question we typically get is, well, how much money can I earn after a certain amount of time? We built this thing called the Path to Success. Really what it is, it's a projection of how much you can earn here at DuePoint, but it's based on a growth formula, so an expectation that's placed on the wealth engineer. So as a new wealth engineer, we expect you to bring in 3 people. This is just an example. If you can bring 3 people in the first month, and then every consecutive month thereafter, you only have to bring in another 2, right? So going on into perpetuity, you're going to be introducing 1 person every 2 weeks into this business. It didn't sound like too onerous an example, so this is why we used the example, right? So after 6 months, you could be earning 2,500 rand a month. Now it's easy to show absolutely no reaction to 2,500 rand, right? Everyone has short-term expectations. I want to be a millionaire by December. Show me the million. But let's take a look at 2,500 rand, because really what's required in this business is that there's this paradigm shift from employment, where you're just getting a salary, to being able to create recurring income, which is really the byproduct of creating an asset, right? And if you shift your thinking from that box into this box, the way you think about money changes. Because when I say to you, you're going to produce 2,500 rand a month, you're all thinking, oh, but you can't buy much with 2,500 rand, right? Because that's how we think. We think as consumers. We look at 2,500 rand and say, oh, what can I spend 2,500 rand on, right? But let me show you what 2,500 rand's value is from a different perspective, because I know that everyone in the audience has got debt in their lives, right? So we all have debt, and here we've got an example of someone with a 1 million rand debt. They've got a 1 million rand home loan. So this home loans are typically things that most South Africans will engage in. They've agreed to pay the bank back over a period of 20 years, called your bond term, and the amount that you're paying back is based on the interest rate, and in this case, they're probably going to have to pay back 11,500 rand a month for the next 20 years, right? But they get to the point at DuePoint where they're earning 2,500 rand, and instead of spending the money, they decide to invest it back into them. So they take the 2,500 rand, they put it into the bond, right? Pay your debt off as quickly as possible. So they listened to me, and they decided to put that additional payment in. The net effect of that 2,500 rand additional payment nearly halves the term of your bond. So if you had just carried on earning your salary and paying what you could pay, it would take you 20 years to pay this house off. If you put 2,500 rand as an additional payment into it, suddenly the bond nearly halves. You pay this house off in 11 and a half years. It saves you 1 million rand in repayments. Right? That blows my mind. Because the whole house, the value of the entire house is 1 million rand. And you're telling me an extra 2,500 rand a month will save me the full value of the house. See how we have to think about money differently. See the value of the 2,500 rand. You could have said, oh, well, 2,500 rand, I can maybe buy a pair of shoes for 2,500 rand, or I can do 2 weeks shopping, or 1 week. 1 week shopping at Checkers with 2,500 rand. Is it really worth 6 months worth of work? But if I said to you, well, 6 months later with DuePoint, I can put you in a position that'll save you 1 million rand on your house. You'll be like, wow. Now I'm interested, right? All it is just a change of your thinking. Think of money in terms of future value. That's what we need to do, instead of the value that you can spend on. After 12 months, you're on about 9,000 rand a month. That's in excess of 100,000 rand in recurring income that you've created for yourself in the space of 12 months. After 24 months, nearly 30,000 rand a month. Right, now you're talking about life-changing income. Think about how many things you can check off the cost of living list if you're pulling in an extra 30,000 rand a month. After 36 months, you're close to 50,000 rand a month. We've got an example of a 5 million rand bond at the 30-month mark. You put that income, that additional income that you created as an additional payment to a 5 million rand bond, you'll pay the bond off in less than 7 years. Now, I always like this example because I'm 40, and I think, well, if I myself was in this position, I could pay a 5 million rand house off by the age of 47. And then I'd buy a second house and pay that one off at the age of 54. And then I'd buy a third house and pay that one off at the age of 61. 3 houses, 5 million rand each. So when I'm ready to retire at the age of 61, I've got passive income coming in from DuePoint. I'm renting out the 2 properties at about 60,000, 70,000 rand a month. Plus, I've got the property I'm living in, Do you see the options I've created for myself? But it requires a decision 20 years before I can realize that for myself. After 48 months, you're close to about 70,000 Rand a month. And after 60 months, a short 5 years, you've created for yourself about R1 million in recurring income annually. We got to the million. You should be happy now. Wasn't in the first year, but 60 months away, right? And is 60 months a long time? Think about what you were doing 60 months back. Probably the same thing you're doing today, right? Your salary was actually probably more valuable then. Right? We have to make the decision in advance, way in advance. And we have to be mature enough and accountable enough to push through, to get excited about getting to 2,500 Rand after 6 months, right? Because it's this incremental improvement that you want to make every single month. And it's fairly slow, and you have to be consistent at that. But this is all academic, so this is based on this 3+2 example that I spoke about. It's purely academic, it's theory, but we've got wealth engineers that are doing more than 3+2. You know, you can certainly do less than 3+2. You can do 0+0 and earn nothing after 6 months. Like I said, always, the accountability always lies with you. So we've got Jack, and we feature wealth engineers all the time. You can ask questions afterwards. Jack joined at the end of January, and you can see within 30 days he created 1,000 Rand a month for himself. 1,000 Rand you can equate to having created a 200,000 Rand cash investment for him. Because if you had 200,000 Rand sitting in the bank earning interest for you, it would generate about 1,000 Rand a month for you. So in the space of 30 days, Jack created 200,000 Rand for himself as an investment, as an asset, right? He tripled that by May, and then he doubled that again to July. And employment in this economy, we really hope that we get 7% increase annually. Engelbert from KZN, he joined us when we launched the business last year in February. He's managed to get himself up to about 12,000 Rand, so he's kind of tracking 3+2 very closely, but he had a very much of a roller coaster 2016, and if you go listen to his testimony on YouTube, he'll tell you that he had health issues and he had problems in his channel. He had one character that just did very badly for him and tried to poach other people and do all kinds of things, but his income went up and down through 2016. But what's important to know is that he didn't quit. He didn't give up. And if you hear his testimony, he'll say to you, I've got lots of time. Lots of time. I had one bad year. I've learned from my mistakes, changing course a little bit, correcting everything. No problem. Which is a great attitude to have, because we have so many people that sit here for 3 months, they struggle a little bit, and then they give up. And they say, no, it doesn't work for me. I can't work the business. And then they walk away from it. And then they probably jump onto the next thing and try that for 3 months, and then jump to the next thing. And Kanyezi joined at the end of March. You can say that again, wawa weewa. Right? Sure. Look at those numbers. 17,000 Rand in recurring monthly income. What is the equivalent asset value of that? How much money do you need to have in the bank to derive a 17,000 Rand income? Right? 3.5 million about? How do you create a 3.5 million Rand asset for yourself in the space of 4 or 5 months? Everyone experiences this business differently. We're all different personalities. You could be happy with 1,000 Rand a month. You could be happy with 2,500 Rand a month. Some people want more. It is a personal decision that you will make. But based on what your goal is, your strategy has to account for what that goal is. So if you want to earn 100,000 Rand a month after 2 years, you better be putting a lot of time into the business. You can't expect to put 1 hour a week in and get to 3+2, right? So understand that. We've got a lot of wealth engineers, we've got hundreds of wealth engineers that have already created income for themselves here at DuePoint. And like I said, some might be earning 165 Rand a month, others earning 70, 80,000 Rand a month. Right? Accountability always lies with you. It's a decision that you need to make on your own. We don't make any decisions for you. It's completely up to you. Okay. So So this is the returns program. This is what we pay our wealth engineers at the end of every month, right? Remember I said there's two ways to earn, through the returns program and the rewards program. So this is all the returns program, and this is the most important aspect of this business, is creating this recurring income, because it reflects the asset value of your channel of distribution. The second way to earn is through this rewards program. We call it the XP rewards program, and when you become a wealth engineer, you will engage in normal wealth engineer behavior, which is telling people about DuePoint, coming to presentations or watching it on the live stream, bringing guests, exposing them to the business, logging into the website, doing home presentations. There's a whole list of things that you can do that will earn you XP. XP stands for experience points, okay? It's not worth any money. It's just an indicator of how active you are as a wealth engineer. And when you start collecting more and more XP and your business starts to grow, we reward you along the way, okay? So if you become a wealth engineer this evening, you'll start out as a rank 0 wealth engineer, but very quickly you can get to rank 1, because all you need is 1,000 XP, which you can do in 24 hours, and you need 4 products in your qualified channel. All right? And if you can do that, you'll become rank 1, and we'll pay you an extra 55 Rand. Once off. Just once off for that month. Extra 55 Rand. Well done on getting to rank 1. Now go for rank 2. Because as you start to rank up in this rewards program, the rewards get bigger and better. Right? So you can see that 100 Rand, 400 Rand, 1,500 Rand, 20,000 Rand. We give away tools that help the wealth engineer be more effective in building their channels of distribution. So we almost want to give you a boost in this business. And so we've got some tools like at rank 5, we give you a USB memory stick. It's a very fancy little memory stick because it plugs into any device. It can plug into cell phones, tablets, computers, laptops, TVs, literally anything. Apple devices, Android devices, even banana devices. But more importantly, it's got all our video collateral on this USB stick, right? So Patrick and Pumi, they can show people the DuePoint opportunity regardless of what device they have around them. At rank 7, we get these business cards manufactured for our wealth engineers. They're very expensive business cards. To get one set done is actually double the price there, so that's getting 2 sets done at the same time. So they cost, if you had to try to get these done yourself, you'd probably pay just in excess of 20,000 Rand for 1,000 cards. Why would we spend so much money on these cards? Well, first impressions count in this business, because when you go speak to people and you propose this income opportunity called DuePoint, they've probably never heard of DuePoint before, right? So you have zero credibility, right? But when you place a business card that costs 20,000 Rand into someone's hand, which is gilded in gold on the edges, no ink on this business card, it's gold, embossed gold edges, they will suddenly take notice, because your business card costs about 50 times what their business card costs. And so they'll give you a couple more minutes to explain what DuePoint's all about, right? Because you've grabbed their attention. At rank 9, this is when everyone gets excited about, because DuePoint will take you and your family on business class flights to a 5-star luxury resort overseas for 7 days, all expenses paid trip for our international conference that we do every single year. So when you get to rank 9, this is something you will enjoy every single year going forward. You will never have to worry about whether you're going to the Valdam or Umhlanga Rocks again. You will be going overseas with DuePoint every single year. Okay, so take a look at the video. Thanks, Kaya. This is where we're going at the end of this year. This is available for every single person in this room. There's no time limit on getting to rank 9. You can take as long as you want. Again, accountability is up to you. Take a look.
Where no one can see you stand
So that seems good, right? Good way to spend December. Like I said, it's available for everyone in the room. There's no preferential treatment given to anyone. If you can get to rank 1, you can get to rank 9, because the behavior and activity is exactly the same at rank 1 that it is at rank 9. At rank 11, we spend about R250,000 on a brand new car and give it to the wealth engineer. Just like that. Drive it out of our parking lot. You can see that happened a few weeks ago. Very lucky rank 11 wealth engineers now driving around in a brand new car with no debit order at the end of the month, right? So these are really just steps to help you get to this debt-free status as quickly as possible, because that's really the aspiration that we have for our wealth engineers. So that's the rewards program. As you see, we've showcased up to rank 11. The program actually goes down all the way to rank 28. We've only fitted the first 20 rows on. The other rows are all hidden, so you can only imagine what happens at rank 28 if you get a car at rank 11, right? So there's only one way to find out. You need to get to rank 1 first, work your way all the way up to rank 28, and we'll see who's the first wealth engineer to get to rank 28. And the guesses have been houses and jets. That's mostly what we get. Okay. So we actually have a third way to benefit out of DuePoint, and that's with this thing we call the Wealth Quest. The Wealth Quest is a incentive or a challenge that we issue to the wealth engineers every month. There's a fresh one, a different one every single month. This one, August, is called Build the Right Team for the Dream, and we challenge the wealth engineers to bring 2 new people into their business and help them get qualified. And if they can do that without any cancellations happening on their first 3 points, they will have a brand new iPad in their hands before the end of next month. Okay, so this is something we do every month. It's different. The reward's always different, but the third way to benefit out of DuePoint. And so we get asked the question, well, how does DuePoint afford all of these things, right? The returns, the rewards, jets and houses. So this slide basically explains our business model. It's fairly straightforward. Traditional companies, especially insurance companies, will spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising. So they take a very large portion of the premium that we pay to the insurance company, and that gets attributed to marketing and advertising every month. DuePoint doesn't do any marketing or advertising. We actually don't spend a cent on either of those things. You won't see our logo outside of this building. We depend on our wealth engineers to go tell people about DuePoint, and so instead of spending the billions that insurance companies spend on marketing and advertising every month, we take that portion of our premium and we pay it to our wealth engineers, to our partners, in the form of these returns and rewards. So I hope that explains our business model. We have 3 products. So you'll notice I haven't spoken too much about our products. Our products are actually very straightforward. They're all financial in nature. The benefits speak to the issues we have in a financially in our lives. There are 3 products. You're free to take out 1 product or all 3 products. It's purely up to you. It's a personal decision you need to make. Our product number 1 is called Access Wealth. It is an investment product. It is 299 Rand a month, of which 100 Rand will be invested in your name, on your behalf, into a tax-free investment fund. That's with Sanlam. It gets managed by global fund managers. We give you a little bit of insurance with this product, 110,000 Rands worth of personal accident cover. So this is our investment product. It's not a fixed or notice deposit, right? So you can draw the funds out at any time that you want. You're not restricted to when you draw the money out. So that's Access Wealth. Product number 2 is called Wealth Guard. This is only insurance, so it's strictly insurance, 274 Rand a month, but this time you get 1.1 million Rands worth of personal accident cover. And because it's not life insurance, it's personal accident cover, we don't profile you from a health risk point of view, which is a great thing, because it doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you're over the age of 18, it doesn't matter what your health issues are, the premium remains the same and the amount of cover that you get remains the same, right? So that's Wealth Guard. And then product number 3 is called the Wealth Points Buyers Club program. It's 274 Rand a month too. And this product actually aims to save us money on the money that we're spending every month anyway. So there's the list of partners that we've had. We've negotiated discounts with each one of those partners. The discount is different for every partner. But we've got a couple of retailers there, like ShopRite Checkers, Take a Lot, Hirsch's, Yuppie Chef, where you can get 2.5% off your entire trolley at most of the retailers. I think Yuppie Chef's 5% off. We've got Eagle Ford, where you'll get the best deal on any car, not only Fords, at Eagle Ford. The Entertainer is a buy one, get one free voucher system that's got over R1 million worth of buy one, get one free vouchers. Gives you access to restaurants around the country, hotels around the world, beauty spas around the country. So there's great value in that product. And then we've just signed on Always On as a data partner. You can get a gig of data for 36 Rand with Always On. Okay, so there's great benefit in this product, immediate benefit, awesome product to have. So those are the three products. I remind you of the support that you get here as a wealth engineer. Everything that I do, everything that the staff do here at DuePoint is constantly to support the wealth engineers in their endeavors of building these channels of distribution. So plug into that support, right? We've got training sessions that explain what all the support is. Really get plugged into it and start building this asset as quickly and as effectively as possible. The decision slide, we are near the end of the presentation. What is the decision we're really making today? Well, I think if we look back to the beginning of the presentation, we understand our circumstances with regards to the economy, what's happening with regards to employment, all of these issues that we all find ourselves in, and really the decision is about trying to take control over your income for the first time in your life and actually start building an asset. Because if you really want wealth in this life, it is only done through creating assets. It's not done through salaries. People that earn salaries aren't wealthy. There are people earning 200,000 Rand a month. They're in the same boat as all of us. In the same boat as all of us. You can go speak to anybody. Go speak to people who sell houses. They'll say, oh, someone came to see 5 million Rand house, but the bank didn't give them approval. Right? So we're all in the same boat regardless. So what we're really deciding here is about the ability to create an asset, to start creating wealth for the first time in our lives. Not to be one of the 98% that wait until we're in our 50s before we suddenly start trying to make a plan around our retirement planning. And this is a business that pays you beyond retirement. Right? That's the beauty of an asset. Asset doesn't suddenly stop paying you when you stop working. So we need to decide, well, the economy is certainly not going to change. I'm not going to get a 100% increase from my employer. I'm not going to get that promotion. Right? There's only 1% of us where that happens to. And so we need to make a decision for us, our families, and start doing this. And it's a straightforward business. We've made it as risk-free as possible, as accessible as possible. We've spent an absolute fortune on the facilities here, the systems that we've put in place, and so we want to see this thing through in the long term. And we really want to see people's lives being changed in this business. My greatest pleasure is when people come up to me and say, today's the day that I am officially debt-free. Right? And that's what I'd love to see for everybody. We make joining very easy, so we've got free Wi-Fi in the building. You can jump onto our free Wi-Fi. We've got iPads available. If you've got your own smartphone on you or tablet, jump onto our homepage, click on the big blue apply button, and you'll go through the application form. It takes about 7 minutes, and ta-da, you're a wealth engineer. But you're still part of the 0+0 club. So you need to get out of that club as quickly as possible because it's not a cool club. Right? So get to rank 1 as quickly as possible so that you're earning in this business and you know that it works for you. You can make that decision very quickly. We've got merchandise. This is not a profit center for us. These are tools to make you effective at building a channel of distribution. So probably the most important one is business cards. Please consider getting business cards because if you're going to behave and act professionally, you need to have business cards when you're proposing a business proposition to somebody. So all the pricing's on the counter. The merchandise is all on display in the cabinet. The USB sticks are very convenient because we've got all our video collateral on those USB sticks. So you can use that one until you get to rank 5 and we give you the fancy one. The one that plugs into bananas. Remember that one? Right, get that one in the meantime. Okay, we've got a YouTube channel. It's got all our videos on there. There are hundreds of videos on that YouTube channel. We've split them up into training and interviews and testimonies. Go take a look, subscribe to it. It'll tell you every time we live stream to the entire country. It'll tell you when we load a video on. And once you become a wealth engineer, download the mobile app because that mobile app will tell you exactly what's going on in your channel. It'll tell you when you're making money while you're sleeping. Right? You want to wake up in the morning and go, look at my asset value in my channel. It's grown overnight. I promise you, people sign up in this business between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning. It still amazes me. Who's doing business at that time of the morning? Anyway, it happens. So guys, get engaged. I thank you for your time on this Thursday evening. Have a wonderful weekend. Try to get to rank 1 by Monday if you can. All right. Thank you.